Welcome to episode 9 of Drew's Basketball Crew here on this Wednesday afternoon, right at 2 o'clock p.m. Central. Myself, Drew Skyberg, bringing you your winning lineup on Fantasia Sports and for NBA Daily Fantasy Sports. So we'll be going through it here again on Wednesday, December 14th. So the slate, it's a much better slate than, the quality games, right, were great yesterday. But we got a lot more games to choose from for today. So again, mentioned I was going to probably be moving it to Wednesday again, and that's right where we are. So let's roll right through it. And we're going to start. We'll start in Indiana, where the Pacers are going to face the Warriors. Warriors got a back-to-back. So really what that means is, so far this year, right, Warriors haven't played well on the road, A and B. They haven't played their stars in back-to-back. So we're looking for value, basically, and we're going to find some value already with Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins being ruled out. Steph Curry being a game time decision. So, recording this later in the day, like at 2 o'clock, as I am right now, we have some more news about some injuries. So that's been nice. But however, we don't know about Steph Curry's status. Still would suggest Anthony Lamb as a potential guy to start on Wednesday. I think you could get some nice value from Lamb at the forward spot. He'll be getting good minutes with two of the forwards being out tonight. With Indianapolis, Tyrese Halliburton certainly due for a bounce back. You got to like Halliburton in this matchup for sure. Otherwise, I think Jalen Smith, Miles Turner will get some good minutes, but I'd probably go Halliburton if you want to take anyone from Indiana. Going to Atlanta, Orlando. Right now, DeJounte Murray, out. John Collins, out. Trae Young, game time decision. Three of their top players all going to be potentially out tonight. So right now, I think the value starts with AJ Griffin, a forward for the Hawks. I also be looking at Trent Forrest, who's projected to be starting at shooting guard. Trae Young, I think he'll play. That's personally my opinion, but we're going to have to wait and see tonight. On the Orlando side, Suggs already ruled out. Gary Harris, Wendell Carter, those guys. Jonathan Isaac has been ruled out, and he's been out for months. So, unfortunately for that, but we have Bol looking to start again at the 4, which has produced some nice numbers and some nice value so far this year. But otherwise, Markelle Fultz right now might be your guy with, again, Suggs being out and Harris being out. But yeah, we're hoping these guys can get back on the court for sure, especially, Jonathan Isaac, who's been out. Like I said, I think he hasn't played in a game in over 700 days. So we're wishing them the best. Detroit, Charlotte, going to that game next. You're going to have some value there. Gordon Hayward, the big news with him, right, being out for who knows how long right now with an injury. LaMelo Ball, for the first time in 11 games, might be playing, which is huge. And, that's something to monitor. I think Mason Plumlee is going to be a great center option, though, regardless. We also have the news Cade Cunningham out for the year. So, you can imagine Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes are going to be your two guys for that. The guard spot there in Detroit. I like Ivey more than Hayes, though, in a DFS setting. Certainly Plumlee, though, is going to be a guy to consider in this matchup, but it depends on LaMelo Ball's status, what else you're going to get. So Terry Rozier, picking up a guard with Cody Martin and Dennis Smith both out might be a good bet to do on Wednesday. Let's go to the next game here. New York and Chicago, the Knicks and Bulls squaring off. Lonzo Ball already out. He's been out for a while as well. Caruso, game time decision. Ayoto Somu, game time decision. Looks like Caruso's playing. So I personally probably won't be starting any of these players here on the Bulls. But looking at the New York side, Obi Toppin was ruled out. Again, Jalen Brunson, a game time decision. Could mean some more playing time there for Quentin Grimes. So Grimes is probably the guy I'm looking at for this. Mitchell Robinson's got some solid minutes too for fantasy purposes as well. Keep that one in mind. There is some value here for Toronto. Fred VanVleet is good to go. A little skeptical, but we have Christian Koloko for the Toronto Raptors, projected to start at center. Precious Achua's out, OG Anunoby's out, Otto Porter's out. So it's like, okay, a lot of forwards and centers out. Could mean some more minutes for Barnes, Siakam, right, Koloko included. But I, I took Koloko once and it backfired, but this might be the night to do so. Sabonis, a solid center, not the greatest defensive center. Certainly Koloko could have a big game here tonight. And of course, Sabonis is going to be running that offense there in Sacramento. But Kevin Huerter's a game time decision. That's really it. Let's go to Portland, San Antonio here. We have a few more games left after this one. Starting with it, Jakob Poeltl's out, Zach Collins is out. I'm going to point you right away to Charles Bassey. I think Bassey is going to be a center that wins some, DFS slates tonight with the amount of opportunity. Jeremy Sochan, also, is going to get some good minutes as well. Just the 4 and the 5 basically is going to be so valuable for San Antonio. And I can't forget about Trey Jones as well. I feel those guys, the San Antonio team, 9-18 right now record wise, but looks like their bigs are going to have good opportunity against the Trailblazers. Mostly everyone's good to go. Nasir Little though out, Gary Payton out. But otherwise the starting 5 looks good to go. Josh Hart. Game time decision, but again, looks like he'll be playing. And the squad I've been talking about a lot this year, the Miami Heat, their injury report's been just a mess. It's been filled with game time decisions. Currently, they have 6 of them right now, or they have 5 of them. They have 3 people already out: Jimmy Butler, Gabe Vincent, and Omar Yurtseven. However, it looks like those game time decisions, most of them will be good to go. With that, maybe Tyler Hero is my suggestion. Max Strus, potentially. Not really on Lowry or Adebayo or tonight. Maybe Adebayo, but this Oklahoma City squad, then on the other hand, it's Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, both good to go. Only ones out right now for them are Kenrich Williams and Jeremiah Robinson Earl. So I think that means that's going to mean some good minutes for the 4 at the 4 there for Jalen Williams. So could be a suggestion for Wednesday. Probably a deeper stream if you're really low on budget, but we already have Ricky Rubio for Cleveland, Dean Wade, of course, with that injury, and then Dylan Windler out for Cleveland. Dallas only has Josh Green and Maxi Kleber out. So most of their main starting 5 that we would imagine starting tonight is starting tonight. So, maybe Donovan Mitchell in this squad. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game with both these offenses. So, there's not really a wrong option. You certainly have to respect the interior defense of Cleveland, right? I mean, it depends how Powell. We'll see how Finney Smith is fair if they're both at the 4 and the 5 respectively. Right, Finney Smith at the 4, Powell at the 5. But yeah, I'd be looking Mitchell or Garland tonight. Like, it's gonna be something here. The video went off the screen. We are back on here though. Like I mentioned, Porzingis out, Beal out. I'm intrigued to see kind of how this starting 5 fares. I think Kyle Kuzma is your guy. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what his price is, but the offense is going to be ran through Kuzma. Right now, it's Monte Morris, Corey Kispert, Denny Advia, Kyle Kuzma, and Daniel Gafford starting. So I really think Kuzma is your guy, and I might take Advia as well. But for Denver, it's the classic starting 5. Michael Porter out, unfortunately. Colin Gillespie also out. So Jokic might be a good play. He's got a favorable matchup against Washington here defensively. And also Jamal Murray. I mean, you can go to take both of those, maybe not both in the same one, but pick one of them. We'll go to the Clipper Timberwolf game, our last game we're talking about, and then I'll go through, find some more value plays if you're still looking. Really for Minnesota, right? We know Cat's out, unfortunately, but again, that means more minutes for Kyle Anderson and Jaden McDaniels. Those guys, I probably am avoiding Minnesota tonight unless I end up with Rudy Gobert. I'm not really liking any players from Minnesota tonight against the Clippers. Paul George and Kawhi are both playing. John Wall and Norman Powell are not. So that means those guard spots. I think that means Paul George, of course, but I think Reggie Jackson could be a guy who's going to benefit a lot. Could be getting 30 plus minutes and having he's going to get a lot of volume. I think, which is going to be good. Just depends on how much Kawhi and Paul George have the ball in their hands. It's kind of the one thing to look at, but gotta like one of those two, Jackson or George, tonight against Minnesota. And just looking at more value here. I mentioned Daniel Gafford, just with the amount of minutes he might be getting, and him with Kuzma could be a nice pair. Also, Bassi of San Antonio, we mentioned. Caleb Martin of Miami, right? Then also, I can't forget Jordan Poole, right? I mean, we talked about the amount of guys out in that back-to-back. If Curry's out, that's going to be huge for Poole. Could really, make the difference there for your lineup on Wednesday. Also, Anthony Lamb. I got to throw him back in there. But basically, those are my guys tonight. You'll see my lineup shortly. It'll be up on Instagram at Drew Sports Crew. And also TikTok at Drew Sports Crew. So go find everything there. And again, I'll be live again tonight alongside Zach Roush and Jared Valesky for another episode of Journey to a Million. That will be live at 5:40-ish p.m. Central Time. And again, that'll wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyber. Good luck to everyone on their slate tonight. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.